a lot of times people hear my story that, I fought a shark, that I swam myself to safety with one foot, that I then got back in the space that was so triggering and then ended up making a medal at Paralympics. And they look at me and they're like, you're fearless. And that could not be further from the truth. The biggest game changer for me was recognizing I'm probably not going to get to a place where I'm not going to have fear. But can I look at it and say, instead of letting it stand in my way, it's going to walk beside me. It'll be there. I know it's going to be there. It's not helpful for me, but we're going to do it together. I'm not going to let it stop me.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Set the Pace, the official podcast of New York Roadrunners presented by Peloton. I'm your host, Rob Simmelcare, the CEO of New York Roadrunners, and I'm thrilled to be reunited this week with my co-host and coach, Becs Gentry, who's been on vacation the last couple of weeks. Welcome back, Becs. How was your break?
Thanks. Oh, it was a staycation here in the city. Lots and lots of stuff to do. Sometimes you just have to cut yourself off from everything because you get nothing done unless you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. And then next thing comes along. So it was very good to be home, clearing stuff out, reorganizing closets. It was season's rollover, and now we're back in our third summer in New York, but it will soon be autumn and we need some layers. So, as a mom, it was time to get through everybody's closets, and we had to go to Vermont, and our dogs came back.
Aww.
We missed them.
That's
kind
beautiful.
of.
Yeah.
Kind of. We missed them. They were gone for like 6 months.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they went to summer camp up at a family friend's house where they had 69 acres of land to run around. They didn't wear their leashes for 6 months. So right now they're depressed.
Oh, back in the city, back on the leash.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back on the leash.
Sounds like your dogs had a great summer. I think
They
want your
really
dog's
did.
summer. That sounds like a really good time.
I
Well,
agree.
that's awesome. Glad the family's
Yeah.
reunited. And how's Austin
Exactly.
recovering from his accomplishment in Berlin on a very hot day over there?
Exactly. Yeah, well, part of the vacation was hopping over to Berlin for a few hours to watch Austin claim his 6-star medal of the Abbott World Marathon Majors. And he ran really sensibly. I'm so proud of him. He started out the first 15 kilometers. He was on for about a 3:03, really crushing it. And then the heat I saw him at the 15K mark. I saw everyone there. And people looked like they'd had a shower, Rob. I was so concerned for every single runner. I was like, oh, people are losing too many fluids here. This isn't good. But he ran for about another 5K and sent me a voice note and said, I got to pull this back. I just don't want to feel awful coming over the finish line of this race. And I was so proud of him to have the grace within himself to scale his pace back in order to enjoy this huge moment. It's a huge moment getting 6 stars. It's a huge moment getting 1 marathon major under your belt. So to have 6, he wanted to remember it, and he didn't want to be throwing up all over the finish line, and I'll be honest with you, there was a lot of people on the floor in Berlin. I saw far too many people than I'd like to just drop down mid-stride.
Yeah.
And that was just on the sidelines. So as a runner, Austin saw too many as well. And so that helped him just be like, hey, you know what? A, I'm a dad. B, I've got nothing to prove. C, I want to enjoy. I want to feel this in a good way, not in a bad way. So he loved it.
It's a great message. Thank you for sharing that, because it's a great message for people to hear, right? That self-dialogue that Austin had, saying, this is not the day to be a hero. This is the day to pull back and enjoy this, because that's what we're all doing this for. We're doing this to enjoy it. None of us are getting paid to do this for the most part.
Teeny tiny percentage of those professional athletes at the front, they're the ones who get the paychecks, and they're the ones who have a full team of people who can look after them when they come over that finish line. But for the masses of us, 55,000 for most of these races now of us, we've got nothing to prove. And I'm sorry, but dropping down and pushing yourself to that level when it's very easy to scale back is a big one. And, we've still got some warm days coming up. New York probably is going to be the first fall race in many ways, but that's a long day. It's a long day in New York. We have corrals and waves starting into the morning up until pretty much lunchtime. People
Yeah.
are coming over the start line.
Yeah.
So my message to you is understand how to hydrate either way the weather goes. Okay? Because overhydration is almost more dangerous than underhydration. And it's not talked about enough. I feel that people just talk about hydrating, make sure you got your salts in, blah, 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 blah. But then I'm seeing people at aid stations in Berlin and London, the same thing happened, where they're chugging 4 cups of water. That's too much. You're rinsing yourself out, and you're flushing out all of your electrolytes and the things that you need. And hyponatremia, I talk about this passionately because I suffered from it in the past, and your brain swells. You cannot function. It is absolutely debilitating.
It's dangerous. Yes.
It's so dangerous. So I think that more runners need to understand both ends of the spectrum. So because you can't control the weather, it's going to be what it's going to be on the day. And so you have to be in control of understanding where you're at. I've got plenty of tips on that. Come my way if you want some tips.
As obviously this week is a big week for myself and many others who are getting ready.
Why? What are you doing?
A little thing called the Bank of America Chicago Marathon. Run. Becs and I are here talking on Tuesday, and this comes out Thursday. By the time many of you listen to this, I will be in Chicago. I head out Friday for my big day. I'm going for star number 4, and
oh my gosh, it's racking up.
It's here. They are racking up. This will be my 3rd marathon in just over a year, which is insane to me. But I have to say, this one feels different going in. It feels different, I think, in a good way, Bex. I feel more prepared for this marathon than I have ever felt, really, at least since maybe 2013 when I ran New York. The last time, a long time ago, I feel really good. I think, first of all, thanks to you, Bex, I feel I've had a really good training block. It was not perfect. There were a lot of hot days during this block. Everybody training for these fall races, if they've been around the New York area, can relate to some days that were just brutal, and I know you say it to yourself in those moments that those days make you stronger, but it can be hard in the moment to realize that it really is happening. And then you get a cool day to do a long run. And I've had a couple of nice, cool long runs in the last few weeks. And I ran 15 a week ago Saturday, and I felt, oh my goodness, this fell short. I've never had a 15-mile run and I'd be like, it's over already, right? So I feel between, the work I put on hot weather, the speed work, I just feel coming in like I know the pace I want to run, and it feels attainable to me. It feels doable, what I want to do.
Yes.
And the weather obviously is a big factor. The forecast as we sit here, and I know all of you folks out there running Chicago, I know you're waking up every morning and going right to that app to look and see what the latest is. It looks pretty good right now. It looks like a sunny day, no clouds. I'd like to see a little cloud in that little picture. Right now there's nothing about a big full sun in that picture, but that is what it is. But it looks like you'll start the race in the 50s and get up into the upper 60s maybe in the late part of the morning. So not too bad. I mean, you can't in this day and age ask for much better than that. Yeah, of course I'd love to have a day with a high of a 62, but we'll take a day in the 60s, maybe high in the low 70s in the afternoon. But it feels good. It looks good. And I'm so, Bex, I'm so excited also just to experience this marathon because everybody says such great things about this marathon.
Love a loop.
The city of Chicago, the crowds, the energy, the course, everything about Chicago just sounds amazing to me, and I'm so excited.
Yeah, the course is really fun. I do remember that being like, okay, you're never sort of, you never feel like you leave the city very far, which is very cool. There's parts of Boston where you're like, where am I and where is the center of Boston? And that's just the nature of a point-to-point race. You have to go through some of the small towns. But I think, Chicago is very cool. I've got a good tip for anyone coming to cheer you on though, Rob, is the public transport, the train system in Chicago is also overground. And the overground stations.
The L, as they call it. They call it the L because it's elevated. That's why they call it that. Exactly.
Oh, I love those Chicago accents, the L. But go up there. Go up, ride the train, and you will get some of the best views of the course and runners coming through. Probably not your favorite runner because you want to be near the course to high five them, but it's magnificent to be up there and see it happen. So good tip, and also easiest way to get around.
Yeah, it just seems like it's a very runner-friendly marathon. I want to thank Carrie Pinkowski and everybody with the Chicago Marathon team out there for all the help and all the encouragement. And I just can't wait to experience it. And we'll be doing a podcast out there, by the way, a live podcast on Friday from Chicago. I land, and I think they're taking me right to the studio or wherever we're recording this podcast. So we'll get the word out about where that live podcast is going to be. I'm excited about that.
Well, I'm sad not to be there.
Yeah, we'll miss you. But I'm super excited to experience Chicago this way, and
you're gonna crush it.
I feel great, Bex. We'll have a debrief, a long debrief
we will.
After
next
it's
week's
over,
debrief is
going to
be
thank
great.
you for all your encouragement. You've been a great. You set me up with a really good plan. So we'll see how it goes on game day in Chicago, October 12th.
Woo!
Bex, meanwhile, back here in the New York City area, we had more than 7,000 runners at the New York Roadrunners Jersey City 5K this past weekend. It was our biggest ever Jersey City 5K. And that, speaking of flat, fast courses, a lot of people love that course, Bex. It is flat. It is fast. It was a beautiful day out in Jersey City.
It was stunning.
Yeah, gorgeous day and some really fast times from a lot of folks out there. Congrats to everybody who ran. The Dashing Whippets had a good day on the club side. They swept the three genders that we recognize at New York Roadrunners. On the female side, Abigail Shoemaker, 16:33.
I mean, come on, Abigail.
Man,
wow.
Oh man. Blazing
Speedy.
time. The men's winner was Jared Moore at 15:37. The non-binary winner, Sean Rankin, 19:13. So congrats to those winners. And Bex, we also had a cross-country race up in Van Cortlandt Park. Winners there on the non-binary side, Jem Sorensen, 28:51. Declan Dwyer McNulty, the men's winner, 17:30 from Hell's Gate Roadrunners. And on the women's side, Olivia Johnson, 21:39. So congrats to everybody who ran on a busy, busy weekend here in New York. Bex, we have some exciting news on the Roadrunner side of things, a couple of updates. First of all, it's been a couple of years since we had an official water sponsor. Water, you and I were just talking about fluids and how important fluids are. Kind of an important thing when you're running a marathon to have a great water partner. Well, we're excited to announce that Culligan has joined New York Roadrunners as the official water solutions partner of the TCS New York City Marathon. And what I'm most excited about with this partnership, Bex, is that we are replacing 200,000 single-use plastic bottles that we've been giving out at the finish line, much to my, sustainability chagrin, because not something that we liked, but it was something that we were kind of in a position where we had to do that for a little bit. But now we're replacing that with infinitely recyclable aluminum bottles for all finishers of the marathon. We are so excited about that, and that's going to help reinforce our net zero commitment to be a net zero event with the TCS New York City Marathon in terms of our impact on the earth. We're trying to do that by 2040, and so this will step our efforts up in a big way there. So welcome, Culligan, to the New York Roadrunners family, and we're excited to see all those Culligan aluminum water bottles at the finish line. And then another big thing this week, Bex, with 26 days to go before the marathon, we just revealed this year's Team Inspire, which is a group of 26 incredibly inspiring athletes who are running the marathon this year, one for every mile. And these folks, their stories, their journeys really capture the spirit of the event. They're a great cross-section of the 55,000 plus runners in the field. And the group includes first-time marathoners, longtime veterans of the marathon, charity runners, New York Roadrunners program participants. It's a great, great group of runners, and we're so excited to have everybody out there get a chance to get to know them. You'll be seeing stories about them on our social media channels, on all kinds of media channels, and right here on Set the Pace, because we're going to have a member of Team Inspire as our guest today, Bex, and she is incredible. Ali Truwit will be joining us in just a few minutes. Bex, her story is incredible. If you don't know about Ali, she was a collegiate swimmer at Yale, an incredibly accomplished athlete. And in 2023, she suffered a shark attack. She was in the water, was attacked by a shark, nearly lost her life, was able to fight off the shark and able to escape with the loss of one of her legs, the lower part of one of her legs. She was able to overcome incredible pain and fear from that moment to just a year or so later, managed to swim for Team USA at the 2024 Paris Paralympic Games. And she was able to win 2 silver medals at those games, which is unbelievable. Now, only 2 years after the attack, she and her family, her team, are taking on the 26.2 miles of the TCS New York City Marathon to raise funds for her foundation, which is called Stronger Than You Think, a charity that raises money to help people get prosthetics. So Ali's going to join us in just a little bit. And Bex, what more can we say? But Ali Truwit is, I think, one of the most inspiring stories that I personally have ever seen at the TCS New York City Marathon.
I agree. She is going to literally glow and emanate this joy and calmness. She's just so focused and calm. And I think it's going to be really, really, truly wonderful to see her cross that finish line on the 2nd of November this year with a big support crew along her side.
Absolutely. So make sure you stay tuned. We're coming up in just a minute with our conversation with Ali Truwit, an incredible person. Then a little bit later on in today's show, our member moment will feature Meb Kefleski with New York Roadrunners member Amina Garau. Amina moved from Sardinia to New York in 2017 and discovered a new life here through running, one that led her to co-found the New York World Runners Club with her friends Paula and Valeria. They built lasting friendships and they completed 8 marathons along the way. So Meb and Amina will be coming up in a little bit. And then Meb will be back with his mile-by-mile countdown of the 2025 TCS New York City Marathon. Today, Meb will break down miles 22 and 23 of the marathon. So stay tuned for that. Imagine being one of the first runners to touch the starting line, cross the bridge, and feel the energy of thousands behind you. This year, MasterCard, a proud sponsor of the 2025 TCS New York City Marathon, gave 3 cardholders something unforgettable, a marathon bib and a priceless start. How? Runners shared their best hacks from training tips to race day rituals, reminding us that the ultimate hack is coming together to unlock a better race day. Knowing you're never alone in the race, priceless. Today on Set the Pace, we are joined by Paralympic silver medalist and newly announced 2025 TCS New York City Marathon Team Inspire runner, Ali Truwit. Ali is a former Yale swimmer. She survived a shark attack in 2023 that led to the devastating loss of her left foot. But amazingly, less than a year later, Ali qualified for Team USA, winning 2 silver medals and setting American records at the 2024 Paris Paralympics. And she just keeps going. This November, she's lacing up for her first ever TCS New York City Marathon. She'll be running on a running blade. Ali and her team will be running to support her foundation, Stronger Than You Think, which helps young girls access prosthetics. And Ali, we are so thrilled to have you running the TCS New York City Marathon this year. So excited to have you as a member of Team Inspire. If there ever was someone who should be in Team Inspire, you are that person. This is exactly why we have that team. So it's a pleasure to have you here on Set the Pace. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited to be talking with you guys and to be running the marathon.
Oh my gosh.
So,
it's amazing, Ali. It's so awesome to see you. Obviously, people can see you on social, and I'm sure I've read your story. But to actually be in your presence, you radiate joy and just your smile is so beautiful and inspiring. I can see why people flood to you to be like, okay, help me get through this.
Sweet. Thank you.
So what Ali led, I want to ask Bex, the question I always ask people, right, when they're running the TCS New York City Marathon is why, right? Like what was it that led you to deciding that you wanted to run? I heard from some folks who work with you, who I know, Allison Davis, a while back, that you were interested in running it. And so I was like, God, yeah, we would love to have Ali Truwit run our marathon. But what was it in your mind that made you want to run New York?
Yeah, I think there's actually a lot of things for me. And I feel really grateful to have so many strong whys because, when the training does get tough, it's really nice to be able to come back to those whys. Personally, I think having run a marathon 10 days before losing my leg in the shark attack, it was top of mind for me that was something I had always loved, that I felt like I had lost. And the things that are on the table for me to reclaim coming out of this attack, I want to fight to reclaim. And swimming was first, and now running is up next for me. And I think, I view these first few years post-attack as an opportunity for me to set the precedent for myself that what just happened to me isn't going to stop me from going for things that I think I'm capable of. And that was through the Paralympics, and now that's through the marathon. And so those are ways for me really to continue showing myself this joyful, hopeful, beautiful life that's still there post-amputation. I also just enjoy pushing myself physically and seeing what I can do. I think the opportunity to continue showing the world what people with disabilities are capable of is an exciting one for me. And then, of course, founding my nonprofit Stronger Than You Think, knowing what it means to not have a prosthetic and then get one and feel the freedom, the independence, the joy that comes from mobility, the quality of life that's improved when we're able to move again. I really want to be able to help other young women and girls get that access. And so that's deeply motivating for me to run and know that I'm fundraising so that we can help other young women and girls run too.
That's just incredible. I mean, I would say the vast majority of the population probably just go through what you experienced and just settle it down to that's just luck, my luck, and I'm just going to get on with it in my way. But the fact that you've not just risen up for yourself, but to include other people in that is super cool. You've said you always love a comeback story. So you've just talked a little bit about the 10 days before you ran Copenhagen Marathon with your mom. Mm-hmm. And then 10 days later, you experienced this tragic attack while you were in the water. How did you think about this good comeback story when you were literally in the middle of your own worst nightmare?
I think it was a real mix. And I try to be really authentic about that I had those incredibly low lows. I was crying on couches. I was telling myself, I'm never going to wear short skirts again, or I don't know if I'm ever going to run again. I had those moments, but I also had small moments of hope, and I clung to that hope. And when I felt that, I worked to let it build. And I think, coupling both of those, knowing that they can both exist. I can feel completely ridden with grief and feel like I've lost a lot. And I can also find those moments of hope, those glimmers, cling and work at it and let it grow. That helped me on my own comeback. But I also look to a lot of other people and their comeback stories to help me get that confidence that it could happen for me. And that's, some names you'd know and some names people will never know that are personal friends or family. I think there's so many people out there fighting for their own comebacks that we'll never know all the stories, but they are all around us. And of course, as a female athlete too, there's so many great examples of Simone Biles with the twisties, having the courage to stop and take that time and then come back and compete and overcome that fear of knowing that she might experience it again. And Lindsey Vonn, I think there's so many great examples to attach to of watching people fight for their own comebacks. So when my confidence faltered during that journey, really clinging to that hope through them. And also looking at the fact that amidst this terrible thing, I was given a second chance at life and I was face to face with almost not surviving. And so really wanting to make the most of that and fight to get back to that joyful, beautiful life was a big motivator to know that I almost didn't have that.
Ali, I've never been through anything like what you went through. I can only imagine what it's like to be in those moments. One of the things I have to imagine is a struggle when you go through a traumatic event like that is kind of redefining your identity, right, of yourself to a degree. And you had a very clear identity as an athlete, right? You were an accomplished swimmer at Yale. Like, being athletic was a huge part of what you were. And for something like that to happen, was that part of your struggle? And clearly it looks to me like part of your recovery. A big part of it was saying, wait a second, I'm still an athlete, right? And just redefining what it meant to be an athlete and turning around not very long after this incident and ending up in the Paralympic Games.
Yes, definitely. I think, and I'm 2 years in right now, so it's still a struggle. I still have those days. I'm learning this new identity. And in so many ways, I'm learning to love a new body. I became an amputee. I was 23 years old. I had just graduated college and I was like, I don't want anyone to ever see my prosthetic leg. I don't love my body. I don't feel beautiful. I've never seen my body look like this. It looks foreign. And so it was a struggle there to learn to see beauty and strength and look at that leg and say, that leg saved me. That leg fought a shark. And it still is a struggle that I work at to get there. And then, of course, through who I am to other people, learning to take on a more vulnerable role in friendships and receive that support was a completely new space in my identity for me. And then as an athlete, that was something I completely worried I'd lost. So many of my early fears were like, am I ever going to run again? Am I ever going to walk again? I didn't even know how I was taking my next step. Like, there were so many fears around my identity as an athlete and would I be able to reclaim that? And really mostly because I wasn't too worried about who I was outside of athletics, but I was worried about the joy that sport has always brought me. Exercise has always been a mood booster for me. And to have that and to love that and then feel like it was gone in the blink of an eye was so scary. And as you mentioned, I have worked to show myself that is still a possibility even with one leg. And that started early in recovery. I started a one-legged plank challenge with my friends and family to see who could hold the longest plank. And I was working to show myself I could still feel strong and athletic and competitive. And it's one of the reasons that I say that going for the Paralympics in my first year of recovery, even just with the goal of it, was the most healing thing I could have done. It really enabled me to focus on all that I still had as opposed to wallowing in what I'd lost and all that I could still do. And so I'm so grateful to that movement and excited to be a part of it because of how much hope and strength it gave me to know that was still something that I had and could get back to.
Absolutely. And you didn't just go on in the Paralympics to show up, which is already an astonishing feat to any athlete out there who gets the chance to compete in their country's whole fit is just super cool. But you went even further beyond that, and you earned 2 silver medals, and you set the American records in Paris. So how did that feel? Just A, doing it, and B, in reflection afterwards?
It was so cool. I feel like this whole journey, I have definitely surprised myself. And that's, a big reason my nonprofit is called Stronger Than You Think. Like, I was not expecting this to be the way that I recovered either. And I feel like Paris was such an example of that. I had worked really hard, but you never know how it's going to go. So that was so cool to touch the wall and see what I had done, and to have so much support in the stands meant just the world. And in reflection, I think, it's really healing for me to think that I could take this bad thing and use it for good and spread that message that we can come back stronger. Life can knock us down and we will rise back up, that we can take trauma and turn it into hope. And I feel like that was just the cherry on top of that message. So it was really special. And I think also, like you said, the feeling of getting to compete with your country on your shirt, on your cap, like, there is really nothing like it. And for me, it was like so many American heroes stepped up and saved my life and helped me rebuild it. And so getting to race with the American flag on my cap. My races were a thank you to them. And that just felt like the most special way. There will never be an adequate way to thank all those people, but it was a nice way to try and have those American records too, and just feel like I could get to thank them for all of their efforts and their heroicism.
Ali, what was the adjustment like? You obviously were no stranger to the pool as a college swimmer. What was the adjustment like as you started training for a Paralympic Games now with your new, your body in this different form? How did you adjust to that, and how were you able to be successful so quickly?
Yeah, it was a big adjustment. I was having to relearn a sport I had known since I was 7 years old, and your whole balance is different with one leg instead of two. Your buoyancy is different. I had to change up my breathing pattern and learn how to kind of account for the fact that I was only using and only had one leg. And so I really had to relearn, you get up on, you're not allowed to compete with a prosthetic. So I do my starts. I get up on the blocks on one leg, take my marks on one leg, push off on one leg, flip turn on one leg. It's all on this one leg. And so that was a lot of relearning how to do things with that new body that took a lot of patience and grace and a great coach and great support. And it was also, like you said, I'm no stranger to a pool, but also at the same time, I did feel like a stranger when I first got back in, because at that point, the last time that I had heard the sound of water, that I had been in that body of water, not a pool, but just generally water, I was swimming for my life. And so getting back in was filled with a lot of flashbacks to the attack, a lot of physical pain because I had new nerve endings that were sensitive to the cold water and practically every sensation. And so it took a lot of overcoming a lot of those challenges to get back to a space where I was feeling comfortable and happy in the water again. And from there, really putting in the work and building back. And I credit my coach for, I think I have a great work ethic. I'll give myself that credit, but he is also so talented in helping me basically pull a rabbit out of a hat and be able to qualify and medal at the Paralympics within a year of a shark attack and an amputation.
Yeah. I mean, you're a dream team together. Let's put it that way. You're a dream team together. I want to talk a little bit about fear, because everybody has fear, spanning a whole huge spectrum, whether it's fear of starting to run because you've never run before and you're scared how tired you'll be, whether it's fear of getting back in the water for you, for example. What was your level of fear for your future, let's say, when you came back to training and when you got back in the water? I mean, obviously different water, but was there things about your life that suddenly became more fearful when you had made the adaptation to becoming an amputee and using a prosthetic?
Absolutely. My fear was through the roof. And I love this question because a lot of times people hear my story that, I fought a shark, that I swam myself to safety with one foot, that I then got back in the space that was so triggering and then ended up making a medal at the Paralympics. And they look at me and they're like, you're fearless. And that could not be further from the truth. Everything I do, I'm riddled with fear. Taking a step was so much fear because I couldn't even recognize a foot was on the ground. It's not attached to my body. Every part of my journey has been filled with fear. And I think what I've gotten to is this place of, first of all, I'm lucky that I have this second chance at life and I don't want to live it ruled by fear. And that's easier said than done. But ultimately, the only way that my whole life that I've known through fear is through facing it. And so really, really working on fear's going to be there. The biggest game changer for me was recognizing I'm probably not going to get to a place where I'm not going to have fear. Most of what I'm doing right now, I have fear. But can I look at it and say, instead of letting it stand in my way, it's going to walk beside me. It'll be there. I know it's going to be there. It's not helpful for me, but we're going to do it together. I'm not going to let it stop me. And that's hard, but that is ultimately what I've really worked to do through getting, back in the pool, through running, through learning how to use a prosthetic, through showing my prosthetic in public. All of these fearful things for me about my future post-amputation really is, can I just work to live alongside the fear and still go for this? And I think what's also helped is a partial success mindset. So when I first got back in the pool, I started by just putting my foot in and then dipping into my waist and then getting into my chest. And I didn't even put my face in for a long time. And so I think building in that way and celebrating the successes on the road as you conquer fear also really helped me as I was going through facing those fears, and continue to also.
Okay, so you call that's partial success, where you body part by body part, as you submerge them into the water, you celebrated the success of each one. Success wasn't just going to be getting your full body in the water.
Right. Each step was a success. And I do feel the same with running, right? Like, it's not always body part by body part, but running was, okay, I can put on a blade and I can jump in the blade and trust that the leg will be there even though I can't feel it. And then, okay, I can run half a mile. Okay, I can run a mile, and building on it, celebrating the success on the way to the larger goal, I feel like for me has helped me conquer those fears and continue to show myself I'm okay as I grow through it.
I love the way you talk about letting the fear walk beside you, and everybody can relate to that. I mean, every single person has their own set of fears, right? So thinking of it that way, I think is really powerful. It's incredible. And by the way, 26.2 miles will put a bit of fear into everyone. So when there's 50,000 people running, really they're each running with their little fear person right alongside them.
Exactly. There's actually 110,000 people this year.
That's right. Yeah, we probably should get more water for the fear, the little fear phantoms running alongside our runners. Ali, I want to talk about training for a marathon now for the first time with your prosthetic and what that has been like. How has training for 26.2 miles changed your relationship with your prosthetic? Since you weren't able to compete with that at the Paralympics, this is really going to be your first, I believe, big sporting event with a prosthetic. How has that kind of changed the way you see the prosthetic?
Yes. So with the Paralympics, I didn't really have to think about how I was going to use my prosthetic to achieve what I wanted to achieve. It was a space where I didn't need my leg. And with the marathon, that's completely different because I now need to learn how to use this tool to help me achieve my goal. So you're right. That has been a journey, a roller coaster for sure. I think it's changed my relationship in many ways. It's definitely come with its fair share of frustrations and challenges. It's hard to be running on something that you can't feel. Training your brain to trust that it will be there, even though you can't grip the ground with it. You can't feel that your foot's there. And you need to let your body kind of go and let your brain let your body go. And every other step, it's only on that blade. So that was a whole process. And then, of course, learning limb management. Being just 2 years into the amputation and just 1 year into having a blade, there's a lot to manage with swelling overnight because I'm still in those early years post-trauma, with blistering of a leg inside a socket, with learning the right fit, because if not, your leg is kind of jamming into the blade over and over again and painful, and with how to do hills without an ankle to adjust for incline and decline. There's all these kind of nuances of using a blade and running that I never really thought about until I was in this situation. So in that way, it's definitely come with a lot of new challenges, but also I look down and I am constantly reminded how lucky I am to have access to a running blade and to be able to have that freedom and that joy to run. And I know that's not the case for everyone. And prosthetics are wildly expensive. And so I think it's been this journey of yes, challenge and hardship and having to overcome a lot of new obstacles. And at the same time, so much gratitude for the fact that I am reclaiming one of my life loves, that I have access to a tool that's letting me do that. Mm-hmm. So it's changed my relationship in a lot of ways. And I think it's also, like I mentioned, really deepened my motivation to fundraise as much as I can through running this, so that I can give that freedom and joy of running back to other young women and girls who need those prosthetics.
Okay, what are you most excited and most nervous about for the day of the 2025 TCS New York City Marathon?
Most excited, probably, I think most excited the support. I'm running with a team of 12. I'm running with my mom, my dad, my uncle.
No way.
Cousins, college teammates. Two of my college teammates who were pivotal in saving my life, one of whom was in the water with me during the attack. So to be able to do it with them and have their support, they've been with me on the marathon of my recovery, and now to run the actual marathon just feels so special. And also the support of New York City. I think the energy of the New York City Marathon is just unmatched. Like, everyone comes out. It really is a marathon. Like, the New York City Marathon is for everyone, I feel like. Whatever you have to give, whether that's cheering, fundraising, running, it's an opportunity for everyone to come together and, celebrate the human spirit. So I'm really excited for that support. And then in terms of nervous, I would say I'm nervous for the hills, because that's been something that I'm continuing to learn, is just incline on the blade. And I'm also nervous for, and this makes sense, I think this has been the case my entire athletic career, but unknowns and uncontrollables, things like humidity and weather really affect my prosthetic fit. And that's something you can't control, and you don't know what it's going to be until right before race day. So I'm really leaning into trying to focus on the knowns of the work that I put in day to day, and the fact that I'm adaptable and I'm willing to fight for what I want, and remind myself of the knowns when those unknowns get loud. But that's easy to get nervous about too.
Yeah. They feel like normal things and individual things combined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those fears are so universal, right, Bex?
Are.
I mean, as anybody who's training for a marathon can think about, they're all worried about those unknowns. They're all worried about weather, about, things that can happen out of their control that can then ruin the day, But I have so much respect for you, Ali, for taking this on and taking on a hard marathon too. You didn't just pick any marathon to try for your first time with a prosthetic. You tried a pretty hard one, but also one that, as you say, is going to help you with that energy of New York behind you.
If I'm doing one, it's going to be New York.
Right. And you're a New York area person. You grew up in the area. So this had to be the one, right?
Yes.
That's amazing. Are your group of 12 with you? Are you all running together?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, great. So you have people right there as your support network. The minute those fears try and kick in, there's going to be 12 people to help talk you down and bring you back to enjoying the moment.
Yes.
Of the most amazing thing. Okay, so we've heard that your family motto is work works. So we're going to be hearing this, I'm sure, chanted along the streets of the 5 boroughs in a few weeks' time. But just talk to us about how you carry that phrase with you on the day-to-day and when you're training.
Yeah, my family is a big mantra family, and one of them is work works. I love it because it's so simple, but it's true and makes sense. And so my whole life, my mom has kind of said to me and my 3 brothers, work works. It doesn't always work exactly on your timeline or exactly in the way that you hope it will, but sooner or later it works. And so take pride in the day-to-day work, have confidence in it, and let it give you that confidence when those high pressure performance moments come. And so through the Paralympics, that was the case for me, of really focusing on the process and the journey there and giving my all every day. And now with the marathon, it's been the same, of really focusing on, through my running training, through my strength training, through physical therapy, through mental training, am I putting in the work day to day so that come race day, I know the work works, and that work is going to be there for me when I call on it and when I need it.
Ali, your foundation sounds amazing. I would just love for folks out there listening to give them a little more about what you do, how you do it, how you go about helping people get prosthetics who need them. And I don't know if you have a story or someone you can talk about who's actually benefited from the work of what you guys do.
Yeah, thank you. It has been such healing work for me to do the work of this nonprofit. I think for me, I realized early on in my recovery what a game changer it was to have the support that I had. And I could not wait until I could pay it forward. And so I founded my nonprofit, Stronger Than You Think, focused on, I say, the 3 pillars that saved my life and helped me rebuild it. So water safety, the Paralympic movement, and funding for prosthetics for young women and girls. And becoming an amputee, I was just shocked at how expensive prosthetics are, how little insurance covers relative to what's needed. And I felt like life as an amputee was hard enough that we shouldn't also have to be concerned with how to afford part of our body that we need just to live. And it is our mobility, our quality of life, our ability to go reclaim our life joys and our careers. And so I really wanted to do something about that. And it has just been the most healing work. I think whether you're a recipient or not, whether you fall under those 3 pillars or not, the message is for everyone that we're stronger than we think, that we have more in us than our minds tell us at times. And if we can open our minds to that, we will surprise ourselves. And so that's been really great to be able to continue spreading that message. And then specifically with the 3 pillars and the impact that we've had, it really feels like a hug to my heart. We have so many incredible recipients. I think about our first prosthetic recipient as a 7-year-old Talia, and she just is the most beautiful, joyful little girl. And we were able to provide her with a high functioning leg so that she can go play in the park and dance with her friends like a 7-year-old should. And we were also able to give her a running blade. And her family sent us a video a few weeks ago of her getting to run the bases at the baseball game at summer camp with her friends. And you just think about, right, those quintessential younger child experiences that now are made possible because she has the right tools to let her do them and to grow up and live this healthy and active lifestyle because we can get her in the right prosthetic. I think about Natalie, another example, this mother who lost her foot last year to cancer. Coming out of her amputation, was unable to do the stairs, and she had 16 steps or whatever it was up to her front door to get home to her 3 children. So she was living not at home, unable to go home to her 3 children. We got her to the prosthetist in a high quality, good fitting prosthetic leg. She is now doing stairs, back with her 3 children, and back at school as a school principal. So it's just been amazing to be able to help in that way and pay forward that support. And these are just incredible, incredible people who give you hope and motivation. So it really is such a mutually beneficial thing. But we do have, we get a lot of applications for support, and it's so motivating for me to do everything I can to fundraise. So to be running the New York City Marathon, to be a part of Team Inspire, to be able to continue that fundraising effort. I have a big $100,000 fundraising goal for the marathon, so that we can help those girls and women get back to their mobility and the things they love in life. And it's a really big motivator for me in my training, and I'm sure on race day too.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to hear these stories, it's like anything. It makes it real. It makes it understandable, as someone may look at you and think, oh, she's young, of course she can get back to it. But then you tell the story of the mom who had 3 children who she was away from, and her job, like all of her heart's love was taken from her, but because of your foundation, she was able to go and reclaim her family, her passions, and just lift her life up. So tell us just quickly, what is one thing that you would say people who don't have prosthetics, what would you like them to understand about living with prosthetics? Something that you think people who don't have a prosthetic may have no idea about.
Yeah, I think there's probably so many things. I think probably that prosthetics are so expensive and that often insurance isn't covering what's needed. I would say that we need different prosthetics to do different things.
Yeah.
I need a different prosthetic to run or to walk. And I think, it is a big reason that I found it stronger than you think, learning those things. But a lot of people don't know and would be surprised to know how many different tools and how expensive it is to live a full and healthy life needing a prosthetic.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I always say, Ali, that there are 50,000 some odd stories at the starting line of the TCS New York City Marathon every year, and that, thousands of them could be feature films, right? And
yes.
and then probably 10 of them would win an Oscar. And I think Ali, you're on that list. you're on that Oscar list because it's an incredible thing. Do you have any goals? And I always ask people, goals for the marathon, and you're a competitive person. So I don't know if, you're thinking about goals, or, I mean, for me, geez, just showing up at the starting line is an incredible accomplishment for you. I'm sure finishing is obviously a big one for you, but how are you thinking about the day?
Yeah. I have a fundraising goal. That's how I'm thinking about
That's the right goal to have.
yeah, and then I think, I have the goal to show the world what people with disabilities can do, and hopefully to show other um, amputees. I was in that boat of being a young female amputee and wondering what I could do and feeling like I was sitting in those I can'ts. And so I have the goal of how special would it be if I could be that for someone. I looked to so many other female athletes who were amputees and Paralympians to give me that hope. And so I hope that me crossing the finish line, which of course is the ultimate goal, gives them hope that they can do it too. I think it really is, if you can see it, you can be it. And the representation matters. And I'm so grateful to you both, because things like what we're doing today, this coverage matters. Getting that word out, getting that exposure, really to give other people that hope, that's a big goal of mine.
All right, Ali, where does someone go to support your run?
Oh, we have a Rally Up page, which I can send you. It's in my Instagram bio. And we also have strongerthanyoutthink.org. Which is
fantastic. We will put that Rally Up page in the show notes of this podcast, so anybody who wants to can support Ali Truwit, and everyone listening should want to support Ali Truwit on this run and her amazing cause, her nonprofit, Stronger Than You Think. It's an incredibly inspiring story. Ali, you're an incredibly inspiring person, and I can't wait to see you at the starting line and at the finish line of the TCS New York City Marathon.
Absolutely. Wish you the best of luck, Ellie. Enjoy the day, because people are going to be screaming for you all the way through all of the boroughs for sure.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited for it. Thank you, guys.
Good luck, Ali. Thanks for being with us. Peloton is leveling up. With the launch of their Peloton cross-training series, they're redefining what race training can look like. Personalized cardio and strength that makes it easier than ever to achieve real results. Whether runners are building a base or pushing for a PR, Peloton meets them where they are, then helps them go further. Smarter training, stronger outcomes, all backed by expert instruction and performance insights. Ready to elevate your race game with Peloton? Head to onepeloton.com to learn more. Peloton, an official partner of the 2025 TCS New York City Marathon. Amina Garau joined New York Roadrunners in 2018 after moving to New York City from Sardinia with her husband and stepdaughter. Her first race, the Italy run, sparked a love for racing and set her on a path that now includes 8 marathons. Along with 2 close friends, Amina co-founded the New York World Runners Club, organizing runs and even course walkthrough webinars to prepare teammates for their first TCS New York City Marathon after COVID. Whether commuting from Queens to Central Park for small group runs or sharing her training plans with others, she's become a cornerstone for her club and a model of commitment to community racing.
Ciao Amina, come stai?
Ciao, molto bene. Tu?
Molto bene. Benvenuti alla Set the Pace podcast.
Grazie.
Okay, pleasure to meet you. This goes my little Italian. You have said that your first NYR race, the Italy run in 28, changed your life. What do you remember most about that day?
Well, I remember crossing the finish line and thinking, when can I do this again? I was not new to running, but that was my first race. So I felt so alive. And also I remember meeting a lot of people and all the connections I made that day. I was new in New York, and I have met many people, but I not so many people I could really connect. And on that day, I found my people. And I remember in particular one friend, my brand new friend, Valeria, who told me about the 9+1. So I was locked, and the path to the marathon was set.
Wonderful. To be able to do it in Italy and to be able to be in New York and making camaraderie and friends is amazing. But you also have with Paula and Valeria, you co-founded the New York World Runners. What inspired you to take that step from being a runner to being a community builder?
That was a natural process. Paula, Valeria, and I ran the New York City Marathon in 2019. We trained together. Paula shared many tips. It was her 5th marathon. And after many long runs and daily chats, what should we wear? What should we eat? And after choosing the perfect matching outfit for race day, we became inseparable. And people were asking a lot of advice, how to set up the Garmin, how to join a New York Roadrunners race. So why not doing what we had done with a team of 3 with more people? So Paola came up with the idea to found a club, and she didn't have to ask twice. So the team of 3 became a team of 80.
Amazing, just incredible. I understand you helped lead group training for the first NYC Marathon after COVID, even hosting a virtual webinar to walk runners through the course. What did that experience mean to you and your teammates?
Well, the team was born just before COVID, and we managed to keep that connection alive during that time. So we organized virtual races. We tried to cheer people up on social media. We recorded a team video for the New York Roadrunners for Global Running Day. So there were no races, but somehow we couldn't meet, but somehow we were there as a team. And after COVID, everyone was so eager to run the marathon, and we were so thrilled. There were so many people who were running it. So I think it was not just the wonderful training plans that Valeria crafted. She's the best, or the tips we could give. I think people love doing this as a team. And I'm sure that long runs with breakfast on a different bakery every week help bonding. And I know that the webinar was the highlight. Everyone loved it, and people still ask about it. But I think the team spirit was what was most meaningful for everyone.
Yeah, the camaraderie of people together and
Yes.
field unity is important. So you have run 8 marathons now. Looking back, which one taught you the most about yourself?
I think it was the London Marathon, not because of the race itself. It was more before the race. I tried the lottery. I looked for a charity. No one would accept me. So my last option was a tour operator. And I was doubtful because it was a lot of money. And I thought, it's a lot of money. It's just a race. And then I remember one night I woke up and I realized it's not just a race. It's what I love doing. It's important. I want to do it. So I learned to embrace this love for running as something for myself. And by the way, so I ended up going to London, and more people from my team joined me in London.
Wow. Congratulations on that. That's amazing. But you do a lot of great work. People describe you as someone who always shows up for others, even commuting from Queens to Central Park just to run with one person. What keeps you motivated to lead in that way?
People are very kind. The idea that I can help people running makes me happy. So knowing that knowing that I will be waiting at Columbus Circle for them, help them with their motivation, well, that's good. That's wonderful. It's simply a pleasure sharing this with others, and it creates incredible connections. And friends I convinced to join us to travel to Berlin to run the marathon are now asking to go to Valencia Marathon. So this is contagious. It's not just me, it's everyone.
Pretty incredible, from just watching in Italy and to coming to New York and now to do around the world, the camaraderie and the friendship that you are building and encouraging people to get the best out of themselves. So keep up the great work. Thank you for being on the Set the Pace podcast.
Thank you for joining us, Amina, and thanks for being a member of New York Roadrunners. Now it's time for today's Med Minute.
Thanks, Rob. Welcome back to my mile by mile countdown to the 2025 TCS New York City Marathon. This week we are counting down to mile 22 to 23 back in Manhattan. Well, back in Manhattan means more people. Mile 22 on Madison Avenue Bridge back to Manhattan. This is up and over Madison Avenue Bridge, and I have amazing stories. People watching in different segments of the TCS New York City Marathon, and I had my good friend Johnny D meet me and this one here on mile 22, 23 and say, "Meb, you got this, you got this." So people will be taking the subways, meet you in different directions of the course. And this is where you kind of let them know, hey, I'm doing it for you. I hear you, I understand you, but be focused. And 4 miles to go is a good way to evaluate, to visualize yourself. Where in your hometown, I got 4 miles to go. That you done it 100 times. Now you are in Madison Avenue and back in Manhattan saying, hey, I could do this. And you are able to just make the move when it counts. At mile 23, Harlem and Fifth Avenue, around south of Harlem into Fifth Avenue. This is a little bit slight hills, 25 feet or so. The iconic New York skyline views are emerged. This is what he said: I cannot be anywhere else but New York. Keep it strong, firm, chin upright. You don't want to be able to just mechanic sound is going to be important to just say, hey, I am here running the TCS New York City Marathon. I got 5K to go. I'm almost home.
And that does it for another episode of Set the Pace. We want to thank our guests today, Ali Truwit and Amina Garau. If you didn't like this episode, you're not going to like an episode of Set the Pace. So if you did like it, please subscribe, rate it, leave a comment for the show wherever you listen so others can find us as well. Enjoy the miles. Good luck to everybody running Chicago this weekend. If you see me out there, please say hello, and I will see you next week. Enjoy the miles.